Welcome, and thank you so much for coming and for being willing to participate in the interview process for the Berkeley Parents Union. Based on the role of a school board director, we have designed these questions to better understand your past experience, demonstrating the characteristics and behaviors needed to be an impactful school board director. That's a mouthful, right? In your responses, please be sure to fully answer the questions and to provide specific examples as often as possible.
I'll do my best.
Awesome. Thank you so much, and thank you for coming. My name is Ann Caligari, and I am sitting down today with Tatiana Guerrero Ramos.
Thank you.
Who is the co-director of an education company that provides tutoring and other academic support.
Yes.
She is also a special education advocate. Welcome, Tatiana. Is it okay to call you Tatiana?
Yes, absolutely.
Super. So like I said before, we have 10 questions that I'm going to ask. And I'm going to go right into the questions. Yeah. And if you need me to repeat a question or any parts, let me know.
Okay.
Great. So our first question is, how would you describe the needs of the whole child experience in BUSD?
The needs of the whole child experience are varied and really depend, right? They're different from kid to kid. And actually at my company, what we do is we take a very holistic approach to the child. Certainly for kids who are struggling emotionally, who are struggling with trauma of any kind, which is basically all of our kids right now, their amygdalas are pretty hijacked right now, and so they are often in fight, flight, or freeze, and which prevents any kind of higher order learning. So the whole child, there's a holistic approach, but there's a step one, really, right? So you can address the whole child, but you have to start with providing them with a safe and soft space to land. So if kids are feeling unseen, unheard, if they are feeling unsafe in any way, none of the other things can happen. So the whole child really, for me, means emotionally, mentally, physically, spiritually, not religiously, but just having the kid feel like they are seen, right? And as a whole human being.
Excellent, thank you. The next question, please give examples of how you've worked to support students, children, and teachers in the past. How will you use this experience as a board member to ensure students' needs are placed at the center of BUSD's decision making?
So I support students every day in my work.
That's why I chuckled as I started this question.
Yeah, I support students every day, and my own kids as well. I have 3 kids in the district. So, one is graduated already. He graduated in 2021. But so specific examples, I've advocated for hundreds of families and helped them access and then navigate the special education system and also the 504 system, which is separate from the special education system. And just in general, I've helped students and families navigate challenging relationships with admin and with teachers. In fact, right before I came here, I was on the phone with a client whose son is really struggling and who is having some mild school refusal because his needs aren't being met in the classroom. So There are too many specific examples of how I support students. But I help students advocate for themselves as well. But specific examples of how I support teachers, I email my son. My younger son has an IEP and he's at Berkeley High, and I email his teachers every year, and I ask them if they know how to scaffold kids with ADHD in the classroom, because we're a full inclusion model. Full inclusion, but we don't provide teachers with the support and the training that they need to scaffold even the most common learning difference, which is ADHD, which all three of my kids have, and me too. So I email the teachers and I ask them what they need. First of all, do you know how to scaffold kids with ADHD in the classroom? The answer invariably is no, I have no idea. Great. Would you like some feedback? Yes, that would be helpful.
That's awesome.
So they send me assignment instructions, and I give them feedback about how to structure the instructions in a way that makes sense for the ADHD brain. During online learning, I had a 4th grade student and a teacher, a BUSD teacher who lives up the street from me, who's also a good friend. Her daughter was in 3rd grade, and let's face it, this was homeschooling, right, for elementary school kids. It wasn't like we couldn't leave them alone. So, so that whole school year, that teacher's daughter was at my house and learning with my daughter Ruby. And I had a tutor come and support them a couple days a week. But so I buy supplies for teachers every single year. Last year, a book came out called The Abolitionist Educator's Toolkit. You know it. Yes, it's an amazing, amazing resource. And I bought a copy for every single teacher in Cass at Berkeley High, because my son is in Cass.
Okay.
So I bought a copy, paid out of my own pocket.
Wow.
Yeah. It was really important to me that these teachers have some kind of resource for abolitionist education.
Partnership.
That's really what it is all about for me. My expectation, I mean, we're talking about, teachers who in their best moments are co-parenting my children. So I feel like I need to help support them.
Okay. So can you name recent examples of advocacy and outreach you've led or activity participated in at local, city, and state levels?
So I have not, I've been on the PTA since I moved to Berkeley with my kids. So I've been a part of advocating for our kids in that way. Also participated in Berkeley PTA Council meetings, and advocated for a new model for the after-school program, because it's confusing to me that the after-school program is as not great as it is. And so I worked really hard to partner with after-school programs. And so we actually sent teachers in for Spanish enrichment and math club enrichment and Mandarin enrichment. And we worked with PTAs. We worked on a sliding scale and offered scholarships. So we didn't turn away any family for lack of funds. So that's one thing I advocated for, was for equal access to these, enrichment programs, because what I saw was that resource families were accessing these things for their kids, Berkeley Math Circle,
right,
stuff like that. And at the state level, I write regularly to Gavin Newsom and it feels a little bit like shouting into the void, and so I feel like I can have more impact at a local level for sure. Participating in committee meetings where we're talking about the never-ending gap.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so a lot of what I do is very grassroots and not a part of like an organized group. It's more my own thing.
Okay. Which is a good thing.
Hopefully. I mean, I'm seeing differences in families' lives. So
Awesome. The fourth question is, it goes without saying that when it comes to education, our school community is passionate, opinionated, and organized.
yes.
Name one or two examples where you were able to stand for and hold to your convictions in the face of strong opposition.
So, well, one of the cases was my own son because, and now my daughter, my younger son, I was first told that they would not evaluate him for a learning difference, even though I had had a private assessment done at my own expense. And I gave them the results of that assessment, which outlined that he has severe ADHD, and the Berkeley High refused to assess him at first. And I said, that's really cute. I'll need a different answer unless you want me to elevate this. And so they did assess him. They tried not to give him an IEP, and I said, that's not an acceptable outcome. You can see that my kid is struggling. And so I fought really, really hard for him to get an IEP. And it's not, the be-all, end-all, especially at Berkeley High, but it certainly got him some supports that he needed. So I fought really hard for that. My daughter, again, Thousand Oaks the team there refused to assess my daughter. I had a private assessment done, again, at my own expense, which I am now going to make the district reimburse me for because they refused to assess them, sent me something called prior written notice, which is basically a written document saying we're not going to assess your kid. And then I had the private assessment done, and Ruby was found to have to qualify on 3 different fronts. So now I'm going through the IEP process at King, where Ruby is now. And I stand up for myself every day with the district and for my families. I'm regularly told no by the district, by the special education director, who initially refused to hear from one of my clients about all of the private tutoring that she had paid for her kid. And her kid was later, after we begged and begged for an IEP, was found to have a reading disability. So when the answer is no, and I know that the answer should be yes, I don't accept the no. That's on a regular basis.
So when you say your families, you're referring to?
My client, yeah, my student, a lot of them are pro bono, but families who are trying to get supports and services for their kids who don't know enough of the language, who don't know enough, right, who don't have financial and social capital, right, and who don't know what to ask for and how to ask for it.
We're doing really good on time.
Okay.
So the next question, you ready to move on?
Yeah.
Okay. As a board member, you're accountable for the overall success of the district. Share examples of how you've provided effective governance of an organization.
Well, my company, Classroom Matters, I mean, Lisa and I have my partner, and she's also my best friend. We've been partners for 12 years, and we have an amazing staff in an industry where there is regular turnover. We have a central admin team that's been with us for 5 or 6 years now, who are committed and who love working with us. We are financially responsible. We pay our employees really well, while also, making a living for ourselves. So that's one way. Being a single mom, and I have to manage that. It's a benevolent matriarchy at my house, I like to say. And the nonprofit, and I'm the president of the board of our nonprofit, and maintaining fiscal health for the nonprofit to ensure we can meet families' needs and we can continue to offer support for families every year. So,
You sound busy.
yeah, you can say that.
Okay, so the sixth question, what is your vision of the successful graduate profile for a BUSD student?
That's a really good question. My vision for a successful graduate is a human who is emotionally intelligent, who feels safe and happy, who is able to speak to current events, who's able to advocate for themselves, to be able to say, here's what I need as a human, as a learner, as a person out in this world. Here's what I need in order to be at my best. Somebody who can come to a conversation with an open heart and an open mind and be able to see other people's perspectives. You can see that it's not actually that important to me that students graduate with, credits in AP Calc. The content will come. That content knowledge will come if the kids are curious and engaged and seen, and if what we're teaching is culturally relevant and speaks to their lived experiences. So I want students to graduate feeling heard and seen, because people who feel heard and seen are healthier members of society, because they don't need to constantly seek out attention for themselves. They can just be out in the world and be their amazing selves out in the world. And emotionally healthy students then go on to do the other things that they want to do, be that four-year college, community college, trade school, working. I want students to graduate feeling like that was worth my time. That was worth my time, and I feel good about the years I spent in this school.
I like that, and parents feeling that way too.
I mean, we're only as happy as our saddest child, right? So I think if you graduate happy, healthy children, then you have happy, healthy parents.
I like that. Okay. Next question.
Yes.
Okay. The school board makes important, let me start over. The school board makes many important decisions, from hiring of the superintendent to passing resolutions and approving budgets. Name an example of how you have been able to collaborate in order to come to an important decision.
So, for sure with Classroom Matters, Lisa and I don't rule from on high. We take a very collaborative approach. We ask for input regularly from our admin team because it's important to us that they have some agency and ownership over what we do as a company, and we want them to feel like they represent us, and so we want their voice to be heard. So that, for sure, Classroom Matters is the biggest example I have. But I have many examples also of being in IEP meetings. I do them all over the Bay Area, but in Berkeley, there are a lot of great IEP teams where we come together as a team and we talk about what will most benefit the student, and I make suggestions for tools and strategies that the IEP team might not have thought about. And there are many people within the system in the district who are great at hearing feedback. So the Sylvia Mendez team, they for some reason didn't know how to access a Spanish language system, reading system for dyslexic children. And so I found a resource for them, and I think they even got trained in it. It was just, which makes sense, right? In a dual immersion school, you want to be able to support the Spanish speakers who are dyslexic.
Right.
So, so I found something for them, and they thanked me. They were super gracious. And so on a regular basis, I collaborate with administrators. The special education director in Albany regularly calls me to collaborate on families to make sure that the students' needs are being met. And it's an amazing relationship. And because he knows that I really want to just support students. And so I wish I had that same relationship with Berkeley.
And your kids are in Berkeley, is that right?
My kids, my own kids are in Berkeley, and unfortunately it's been really demoralizing advocating for my own kids and not to mention other families. I own or co-own and co-run a tutoring organization, so I will always be able to I'm a single mom, right, and I'm an educator, so I'm not rich, but I know that I will always be able to get my kids the support they need, because I can just reach out to my tutors, because my kids think I'm lame and annoying, which I am most of the time to them.
Oh yeah.
Right? But I know that I can get them the support they need. It's when I know that other families who can't access those resources, when I know that their kids are not getting the support they need, that it literally makes my brain explode and keeps me up at night.
We're doing really good on time.
Okay, good.
So we're on the 8th question, and we're going to talk a little bit now. Well, actually, it's just a part of the question from COVID testing. to KeyCards, New Business Processes and Technology.
Sorry, I rolled my eyes.
Okay, from COVID testing to KeyCards, New Business Processes and Technology can make an enormous difference in students' and families' experiences in everyday safety. Oh, I'm sorry, and even safety. Provide examples of how you've led innovation in an organization, including sharing best practices and introducing new technology.
So, in January of 2020, we got together as an admin team and we were like, oh, we really should market, we should try to do more online tutoring and virtual tutoring. And March 16th,
ahead of the game, huh?
guess what? We went 100% virtual. So we as a team, because I'm sure you remember March 13th, they said go home for 2 weeks. Ha! Ha!
I remember it well.
Go home for 2 weeks. And then March 16th, they said, never mind, right? And we, as a team, had to convert what had been 100% in-person tutoring to 100% virtual tutoring.
Wow.
So as a team, we got everyone set up. Literally not one student missed a session. It was amazing, our team's effort. And during COVID, we also worked to find a process to onboard foster youth. So we got a PPP loan. We were really lucky. We got the Paycheck Protection Program.
Okay.
So they were loans that the Small Business Administration was giving to companies affected by COVID. And for sure we had a loss of business, right, during COVID, during stay at home. And so we found a way to onboard foster youth anonymously, because we can't share identifying information. But more importantly, it allowed us to work with a dozen foster youth who, for free, we did it for free. And we figured out ways to support them so that they didn't have to go without some academic support that they were missing because they couldn't get it through their schools. So that was another big success. Streamlining all of our processes at Classroom Matters has largely fallen to me because I'm the HR person, right? It's a small business. I wear many hats. So having to transition all of our employees, and in any given year we have between 40 and 50 employees. So transitioning, we have it's been amazing. Lisa and I have an amazing partnership, and like I said, we have this amazing team of people. So getting everybody onboarded with a new HR/payroll system, and that was very hard, but ultimately has been really helpful, has really automated a lot of our processes, and so it's made my job a lot easier.
Actually, I was thinking about the calm before the storm, but you guys really planned ahead for that storm. You didn't even realize it.
We didn't. I mean, we didn't. And I mean, like I said, we have an amazing team. So, we have our core admin team of 5 people. We all worked really well together to just get everybody onboarded, families, tutors, everybody. Yeah, it was interesting for sure.
Well, I'm going to talk a little bit now more about school board. Often school board the school board passes a resolution that directs the district to do something new and different. But sometimes implementation is incomplete or doesn't even happen. I'm not sure if you're aware of that. Name an example of how you've held a large organization accountable to its goals.
So I every day work to hold Berkeley Unified accountable to its goals at a much more granular level, because I'm really advocating for students in the system. But I think that has a ripple effect in that it has an impact on the way they do things. So, for example, Berkeley calls itself a full inclusion model, but there are no what are called co-taught classes at Berkeley High. So kids with learning differences are put into the general education classroom because the district says that's the least restrictive environment. Except they put them in classrooms with teachers who aren't trained to support kids with learning differences. So one of the things that I have pushed for many years is co-taught classes. So kids can be in a general ed classroom with their neurotypical peers and also have somebody in the classroom who's trained to support their learning differences, right? Support kids who have struggled with processing, for example, or who have a central auditory processing disorder. I was in an IEP meeting with a learning specialist who thought that a kid who had a central auditory processing disorder, that they needed to be seated near a speaker because it was a volume issue. And I had to explain to this learning specialist that it's not a volume issue. The student doesn't, you don't need to scream at him. You just have to deliver the information in a way that his brain can process this is a true story. So for years I've been advocating, and so finally this year Berkeley High has co-taught math classes. They say they do. They're not implemented yet because we were told by the program supervisor at Berkeley High that they're still trying to figure out student classes, and so that the co-taught classes are going to start after the first 3 weeks of school. So I'm hoping, but we've been told that there are co-taught math classes coming.
Okay.
So
It'd be very interesting to see.
it will be very interesting to see, and it will be very interesting to see what the outcomes are for those classrooms.
Yes.
Because we all know the issues with the math department at Berkeley High.
Absolutely. Okay, enough said, right? This is the last question.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, wait, I thought of one more example.
Go for it.
Sorry.
No problem.
The school psychologists at King Middle School on several occasions told families I was working with that told parents that they should not seek assessments for their kids because it was stigmatizing.
Okay.
Yeah, I wrote a scathing letter finally because I just had heard this too many times. Those school psychologists don't work at King anymore.
Oh, okay. Okay, next question.
Yeah.
Okay. Board members tend to be leaders both within the school district and the community at large. What are examples, in your work where you were able to improve team cohesiveness and or build community relationships?
So for sure my block, I'm like the little mayor of my block.
Oh, okay.
I've organized an sort of emergency resources spreadsheet for everybody on my block. I regularly do block parties to bring people out to enjoy community and get to know each other better. It's one of the things that I love doing is bringing people together. So in my own community, I do that. As part of my school communities, I'm often the one teachers turn to if they know that a family needs help. And because they know that I know a lot of people and I can help gather support. I also delivered food to a Berkeley Unified family that was being housed in Alameda at a church in Alameda. I delivered food to them every week for a year and a half. And more sometimes if they needed it. Sometimes like they didn't need food, they needed diapers, and so I basically brought them what they needed. Definitely at Classroom Matters, working to bring our team together, working to make sure our staff feels supported and seen, and their needs are being met. We want them to bring their best selves to tutoring, so they have to be able to be their best selves.
When we used your services in, I think it was 2008, I don't think you had half that many staff.
Yeah, I don't think we did. Yeah, we've grown. We've grown a lot. I think word of mouth. I think people have come to, associate our name with quality. Lisa and I strive, and the rest of our team, we really strive to make every like I want to treat families the way I would want to be treated. So.
Well, we still have a little bit more time, but I'd like to take this time to thank you. For taking the time to talk with me. It's so nice because now everyone gets to know who the candidates are in sort of an open forum. So it's good to get to know you.
I appreciate you, and I appreciate what the Berkeley Parents Union, what you guys are, I think, trying to do. And I think we really need to focus on having a much more student-centered approach. I think for a long time that there's been an adult-centric focus. And I do think that there's a way to do it where everybody has their needs met, right? I'm constantly telling my kids, okay, I understand that you want this, I want this, we both get to have our needs met, so let's figure out how to make that happen.
I think this is definitely a step in the right direction.
I've
never heard of this before.
I haven't either.
Right.
And I think it's a really strong way to signal that parents are willing to fight for what their kids need. I think, what I want as a board member is to remind the community that the district works for them, not the other way around. And I often have come into meetings feeling like I don't work for you. Like, you guys work for my kid. Like, we need to recalibrate. And what I want to bring to the board is a sense of accountability, a sense of responsibility, and the an approach that feels to parents like, we're here to serve you. This is why we're here. This is why the district is here. This is why the board is here. We're here to serve families. And it's definitely not how I've felt in a very, very long time. It feels like it's constant, like, you know, me against them. Instead of feeling like, okay, I can see that you have not even just my own kids, but these other kids, right? Like, I don't want to hear that, you know, well, this is what we have the staff for. Like, that's not, that's a personal problem. I'll help you with it if you want, but don't tell me that you can't meet this need because there's not enough staff, because there are other creative ways to solve this problem.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate your sharing yourself with us. Thank you.
Thank you
so much, and good luck with your candidacy.
Thank you.
So it's a lot of work.
My little scrappy campaign.
Oh. Well, good luck to you.
Thank you.
All the best.
Thank you so much.
Pleasure meeting you.
Thank you.